I have been wanting Walter Hughes to come to speak to our club forever. And it's my privilege to introduce Walter today. And I'm going to read you some of the things I have found about him. This is not a bio that he sent me. He's a very modest person. But I want to tell you, since the early 2000s, Walter has led over 25 missions to Ghana in West Africa, digging wells in remote villages and bringing fresh water to people in an effort to eradicate the guinea worm disease. But he began his career as a programmer analyst for a mobile oil company. Later, he was strategic category manager for the technology products at AOL. He's a former pastor at New Hope United Methodist Church in Rocky Mount, Virginia. As a missionary, now Walter has changed the lives of thousands of people in West Africa. In 2013, for his humanitarian works, he was honored as a White House Champion of Change. Now, I think that's a big deal. In his acceptance speech, Walter said, "I'm accepting on behalf of Rotarians and friends from a team of over 80 Rotary clubs from the US, Canada, Switzerland, Ghana, and the South Sudan. We're celebrating the end of guinea worm disease in Ghana in West Africa. It all started with a dream, and I feel grateful to have witnessed lives transformed around the world." Now, that was his quote when he received that award. Walter's an independent missionary and an evangelist who shares the love of Jesus Christ. He's a member of the Rocky Mount, Virginia Rotary Club. And in August, I'm happy to tell you, he got married to Lisa Doss, and they've enjoyed a honeymoon, and then he's going to go right back to work. But Walter is a perfect example of service above self for what he's doing and what he has been doing around the world. And I'm very excited to have Walter here with us today.
In the showroom, Austin.
Thank you, Walter.
They're in the showroom.
Thank you. Hope, if you can mute everybody else, I'll have questions at the end. Thank you, Kim. That was really wonderful. And I am excited also to be back with you, because without Thomasville Rotary Club, and things just would not have happened. And I want to explain how one person and one club can make a huge difference around the world. And so I want to talk about the 10 reasons we serve to transform lives. And my contact information, my email is walterkhughes@gmail.com, and my phone number is on the screen right now. It's 540-493-4715. The first reason is God's call in my life. I read about 20 years ago in Luke that to those that much is given, much more is demanded. And so I asked God, I said, "God, what can I do for blessing my life with a wonderful family and a career?" And slowly, the answer became clear that it was to go to Africa and go where people didn't want to go and make a difference in lives that we would not have known otherwise. And the reason number 2 is faith overcame fear. And I needed to travel with a friend from the south of Ghana to the northern part of Ghana. And it was just the 2 of us getting on a bus, Africa style. And we were meeting with the Rotarians in Tamale. And I told my friend about 5 miles before we arrived in the city, "Hey, this is the place where they beheaded the chief and the elders 3 years before my first trip to that city." And the city was 90% Muslim. And so you have to overcome our fear of other people and other cultures to have the start. So if I had been too afraid to hop on that bus and meet people different than we are, this project would have never started. And then there was a case where I got a phone call after one of my trips in 2005, and the phone call said that they were celebrating my death in Kumasi because the chief had wanted me dead, so he cut the brake lines on the bus, and the bus crashed after it dropped us off at the airport. Luckily, no one was killed, but my crime was we helped to build a school. And then another factor on overcoming your fear is we eradicated guinea worm disease, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but then we went on to do that in Ghana and then South Sudan. But the money was raised, $302,000. The Rotary Foundation approved the money the same month the Civil War resumed in South Sudan. So we had to drill wells during a civil war. And in 2015, we went back to see those wells and the water flowing. On the left-hand picture is orphans who lost their lives during that Civil War. They lost their parents, and so we drilled a well at the orphanage for those kids. And the picture on the right is going to see one of our Rotary wells, and we were able to get there through help with the Carter Center with logistics. And the next reason that we serve is to remember those who've inspired us. And so there's many Rotarians that have led the way before us. And to honor them, like Earl in this picture is a past governor in Virginia. And we're building a preschool in Ghana to remember him. And then reason number 4 is champions, is what I call them. And the champion from your club is past Governor Wes Patterson. And without people like Wes, the work would have stopped. And another Rotarian, just a regular Rotarian, he was involved in the very first project. His name was Larry Rose. And so every year he raised money and insisted that the club help people in Buffalo, New York, but also help people in Africa. So they did a paper shredding event every year to raise money for at least 1 or 2 wells in Africa. And he died a few years ago. And so we dedicated several wells in his honor and his memory because of his passion for clean water. But what happened with Rotary is they had a change for the Rotary Foundation, and they called it Future Vision. And they cut the world in half. And Thomasville and District 7690 was in the new version of that program, but Rocky Mount in Virginia was in the old. And so the Rotary Foundation said us to go find another project. But instead, I pitched the idea that your club and your district would sponsor our work in Ghana to eradicate guinea worm disease. And I'd gone to Texas, to Maryland, to San Francisco, I mean, all over the country trying to find someone that would help us continue, because we needed somebody on your side of the fence to sponsor the eradication of guinea worm disease. And fortunately for us, Wes Patterson said yes before I even made the pitch. And because of that dedication and passion and championing the project, we were able to eradicate guinea worm disease from Ghana in 2010. And that work would have ceased without dedicated Rotarians from your club. And reason number 5 is we do this for the children. And my goal was to drill 1 well and be done. So it was a one and done project. But when you see a child drinking water for the first time that's safe to drink, or going to school, or having a better future, it gets to be addictive. And you just want to see another child get a drink of water, or another child have a book to read, or an entire community have a school where the kids can get a decent education. And so we tell the children, you are the future of your community and your region in Ghana and West Africa. And we are here as Rotarians because we believe in you. You are the future of your country. And we want you to study hard and work hard. And they do. They have a wonderful work ethic, and they know that education is their future. So water sanitation is key for their health. And then we just keep going up with disease prevention and education, and then economic development. And then reason number 6 is leaders. We empower leaders in the communities. And what we do now is we say, what is your vision and what is your dream? How are you going to change your community? And we want you to lead this effort with your time, not just your physical labor, but your planning and organizing skills. And we want you to raise money within your community. So the first dollars are not from North Carolina, they're from your community. And then what we do is say, we'll provide whatever training you need to fulfill your dream. And where possible, we use microcredit loans to increase the local funding percentage and to empower women to have their own businesses and better farms. And then Rotary fills the funding gap. And reason number 6 is we're encouraging leaders here in the U.S. To start their own projects. And David Rosenthal is an example. The Hampton Roads, Virginia Rotary Club is sponsoring 2 new grants, and they've never done it before. And David has formed a great team with his club. And we're mentoring David and his team how to manage those projects. And Sue Carter went with us last September, and she saw children that needed incubators so they would not die after childbirth. So she came back and wrote her very first global grant on providing medical equipment for clinics and hospitals and incubator blankets that can transport children who are at risk from a clinic to a regional hospital. So we believe empowering leaders in Ghana and Rotarians around the world. And reason number 7 is when you build a team to do a job, the team keeps wanting to go. And in this example, Nana Menza is in the orange shirt in the middle of the picture. Nana wrote me and called me and said, we want to team with you. And I kept telling Nana no. I said, we have so many clubs in Ghana that we work with. We can't add one more club. And he finally sent me pictures of a well and toilets that they had funded themselves and said, imagine what we could do if we had a team. And so we finally agreed to work with the Kamasi Rotary Club. And it's been an amazing partnership ever since. And it's that persistence. And what I told Nana and another man named Kwame, I said, now you two are running circles around me. And he was so proud that he is exceeding what I have done. And it's just wonderful training new leaders to change the world. And reason number 8 is the mission of Rotary is to serve others and promote honesty and integrity, keeping our word, and understanding people of this world, and developing goodwill and building peace. And what I've learned is the 5 areas of focus: water sanitation, disease prevention, education and literacy, and economic development. All those areas of focus build hope. And when you have hope in a community, you build peace. And so our mission is service above self. And we've got to either believe in our mission or not. And number 9 is changing lives really is life-changing for me and the people who are involved. But once you begin to change lives, it's hard to stop. And it's just so rewarding when you go into a community and one year you build a well, the next year you bring in sanitation. And now we say we're not really doing charity anymore. What we're doing is building leaders. And those leaders are drilling the wells. They're building schools. They're improving the clinics. They're doing the work. Our job is to encourage and strengthen them. And reason number 10 is I joined Rotary to spend time with Dad. And that was the goal. We started this effort is to go to breakfast with Dad. And so it was friendships and relationships within the local club. But I didn't realize that Rotary is so much more than just a deal. And Tony, and Amakiba, if you took a mute, I would appreciate that. And we impact the poor in many ways in Ghana. And these are 2 of our communities. And if you ever see the poverty, you want to make a difference. Now, their family ties are very tight, and there's a lot of good positives in these communities, but they need economic development and they need education. And the first thing we do is start with dirty water. if we can remove these photographs from every community that we serve, it really impacts the health of the community. And so I didn't really understand about a parasite that's 3 feet long that grows in your body for a year. And when it comes out, it feels like someone has stuck your skin with an iron. And so the burn sensation makes you want to jump in a lake or a creek to cool off. And that's how the parasite continues its life cycle. And this bottle are parasites that came out of the children on the right. And this is the picture that changed my life and realized that we needed to get involved with eradicating this disease. And it's where your club made a big difference, because we went to the worst place in Ghana and drilled a well, and the next worst place and drilled a well, until there was no more places in Ghana where you could see children in pain from this disease. And now we're very close to eradicating polio and guinea worm from the world. And one has been a Rotary International project. The other has been a project partnering with Thomasville Rotary and District 7690 and so many other clubs to make that possible. And if you get this picture in your head, you just want to eradicate this photograph from the world. And we're in a few cases in Chad and Mali and a few other places. There's a couple cases in South Sudan, but where Rotary drilled those wells, there's no more disease. And 4.1 million people need good sanitation. And so that leaves almost half the population that needs a good toilet. And 25% of the population needs good water to drink. The good news is we've made a difference with clean water, but what we've learned is we can reduce deaths by 75% of waterborne diseases if we do 4 things well. And that's drink clean water, use good toilets, wash your hands with soap and water, and train about hygiene for washing your hands before a meal, washing your hands before preparing a meal, and washing your hands after using the toilet. And so all 4 steps are essential for reducing deaths. And that death can be reduced by 75%. And so some people are angry that we're doing things during a pandemic. But if you're living in a developing world, diarrhea, dysentery, typhoid fever are diseases that are there, pandemic or no pandemic. So we've got to do this work to make it happen. And 7690 in Thomasville, the impact over the years has been $33,750. And a lot of that was district designated funds, but that made a big difference in eradicating guinea worm disease from Ghana and South Sudan. And so we're so thankful for that support. And if you look on this sign, you will see Thomasville, and it's Lexington Sun, North Carolina. Sometimes the translation doesn't get there, but luckily Thomasville is spelled correctly. And so in Africa, your club's name is by wells that people use every day. And we are so appreciative of that effort. And one of the grants that we're just finishing is 1872002. And that impacted 37,000 people. And so over these years, about 14,000, over the last 14 years, we've impacted over 800,000 people. And it's been one project after another. And this grant, it was 16 new small town water systems, 423 new microflush toilets. And the budget was 185,000. And we did close to 150 microcredit loans as part of that project. And those loans are continuing even when the grant is finished. We have an obligation to do 2 rounds of loan with the Rotary Foundation, but then that money can continue doing good long term. And so Rotarians who have the luxury of being able to go with me gets to see with their own eyes the lives that are changed. whether it's breaking ground for a new school or dedicating an old school or a new well. And microflush toilet is something that we learned mainly because an old woman named Stella Annahorst, she was an assemblywoman. She goes, I'm an old woman, and old women and young girls, we need sanitation. I said, Stella, we don't do sanitation, we just drill wells. But she goes, I go behind those rocks at night to relieve myself. And so girls can't go to school if they don't have sanitation. So we learned about the microflush toilet. There's no sewage, no smell, or flies. And the Gates Foundation paid the pilot costs. And it was designed by a Rotarian named Dr. Stephen Mecca. And so you wash your hands in the sink, the water flows out of the sink into the toilet for the next flush. And it uses a bed of earthworms to break down the waste into safe compost. And so we're building schools. I didn't stop after that first school where the chief was angry. We are building the 7th, 8th, and 9th school now. And there's one of the schools is at a bonsery. And we drilled a well there. It was an immigrant community. And President Patty Affa was at this community checking on the well. And this little girl she's holding came up to her and she goes, my dream is to serve as a doctor someday. And the women in the community said, how can she be a doctor? She can't even go to elementary school. And so Rotary had a 3-year pilot to build schools. So Patty went to her club and went to the International Rotarians and said, can we build a school at a bonsery? So the school was built, and this little girl can get her education and hopefully go on to medical school one day. And this is Yahama Preschool, the way we saw it last September. This is Yahama Preschool last week. And so the teachers inspired us. We stopped there for lunch, not knowing that we were going to get a pitch for a preschool. But we had 2 really special Rotarians die last year. And so one we're honoring at the preschool here, and the other is at the Hilltop Elementary School that I'll show you in just a minute. The basic design for the elementary and junior highs is 6 classrooms, 3 classrooms on the left, 3 classrooms on the right, an activity hall, a library, a 10-unit toilet block, and then clean water and solar lights and with LED lights in each classroom so the kids can stay after school and study at night, because many of these communities don't have lights in their homes. So the lights at the school is some of the first lights that they will ever see. And this is Hyam and Cheney, or it's easier to call it the Hilltop School. And we saw this two years ago. And so now this is Hyam and Cheney as of last week. And so you've gone from what looks like a shed or a barn to a real school. And so hopefully by early 2021, the children will be attending the preschool, the elementary, and the junior high that's being built during a pandemic. And the honor and glory and thanks goes to the dedication of the Rotarians in Ghana who are overseeing these projects during a pandemic. And so we're building amazing schools. This is from a drone, and it shows one of the completed schools that we dedicated 2 schools in 2 days last September. And so I want to say thanks for changing lives, and thanks for Rotarians in the Thomasville Rotary Club, because what I just talked to you about would not have happened without caring Rotarians in your club and in your district to make that story happen. Otherwise, the future vision would have stopped the eradication program in Ghana at a critical stage. And so with Wes Patterson being governor and just his heart, it made all the difference. So Hope, I'm open for questions.
Okay, thank you so much, Walter. That was a phenomenal presentation. And you know, the word, and I know Kim has worked a long time. Yeah, look at all that applause. Kim has worked a long time to get you in front of our club. You know, one of the comments you'll hear every once in a while is, I know there's a well somewhere with the Thomasville Rotary Club name on it. And you know, getting to hear about it, and having you connect, you know, at least that piece, you know, back to our community and our club is amazing. But the work you've done is phenomenal. So I will give you guys a chance. You will have to unmute yourself. If you have questions for Walter, please do that. I am sure he is.
Yeah.
I did notice in one of your early pictures, probably one of your first pictures that you shared, I am pretty sure that I saw a goat, a live goat on top of the van that you had the picture of.
Yeah, it was very scary going in that bus. I didn't take a picture back then, so that's just a bus picture. But you just don't understand. I was trying to figure out a way to get up there, and I thought there would be airplanes, or I could go to Avis and rent a car. And that was the best transportation at that time to get to that club. And I was so afraid. And then later I went back a second time, and they go, well, your first trip doesn't really count. It's your second trip that really makes a difference. And if they had known how hard it was to get there the first time, they would have valued that first trip.
Okay, any other questions?
How do you know where to go next or what to do next?
Well, Kim, that's a good question. A lot of it is working with the local county government in each community. The Rotarians in Ghana will get appeals from communities. And so they're very active in the local community trying to see the need. So word of mouth gets around what Rotary does. And so the appeals come in, but we work with the county administrator. They're called a district chief executive, and they will have lists of communities in need. And at first it was mainly the highest incidence of disease, but we've helped to eradicate guinea worm from Ghana and trachoma, which is going blind because your eyelashes turn inside, and so your eyelash scratches your eyeball till you go blind. And that was a lack of washing your face with clean water. So there's so many things that have changed since we started this work. But now what we're doing is we're saying we want the communities to take the lead. So we're asking for communities to have a bank account where they can make the down payment on that well. So it's more ownership. So it's skin of the game. And it's made a huge difference, because then when it's done, they say we did it. They don't say Thomasville did this. They say we helped pay for that well, and we helped build that school. We hauled water. We helped mold the concrete blocks. So there's a lot of ownership, and that maintenance is there because of training. And we'll get appeals from many clubs around the world. And as we talk, sometimes, Kim, there's Rotarians from Ethiopia or other countries like Liberia. So now we're mentoring Rotarians in clubs how to give back to their home country. So sometimes it's a connection with a Rotarian or with an organization that is coming to it. Joseph? And you can hold down your space bar to unmute, Joseph.
Oh, go ahead, Joseph.
I did nothing.
He's speechless, Walter. You left him speechless.
I'm sorry about that, Joseph. Philip?
Yeah, Walter, thank you so much. Is translation a problem that is easily overcome?
Well, it is in Ghana because they speak their tribal language, and English is their second language. So all the Rotarians speak English, and the pastors that I work with in the churches that we've started, they also speak English. So at first I was trying to speak Twi and let them translate back into English. They finally said, we can't take this. English, and we will translate. So I know the greetings and things like that, but I leave the translation to the Rotarians who speak their language much better than I could ever do it with a Southern accent.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm from Eastern North Carolina, and I've even been told the same thing. Another question I have is, what's the earliest water pumps that have been built, and are all of them still functional?
We go back, Philip, and check on the wells. Our first project was in 2006 and 7. And so we've done a lot of things with the Future Vision project. It did prioritize sustainability. And so we train a committee in each community to maintain the well. And we need 2 women on that committee because they do most of the work in any community in Ghana, and perhaps in Thomasville too. So we make sure, is that true, Kim and Hope?
No.
So we get the women involved, and then they really make sure that the well is maintained, and we give them contacts at the county level if it's something that's beyond their ability to repair. So our water is still flowing, and we are now going back and doing some repairs of wells that weren't Rotary wells and teaching them how to maintain the well. So, and we're also teaching them how to save so that their community can become a lending community to businesses within their community.
How large is the training team?
Thank you.
The training will take several hours, and it's all hands-on. And then there's follow-up with those community, with the county water and sanitation departments. And then they have cell phones. If they have questions, they can text or send a picture of what's going on.
Thank you.
Thanks, Philip.
And Walter, you mentioned a couple times the micro loans. Can you explain a little bit about how that works?
Well, what we learned is a lot of loans around the world were giving out for small businesses, and that was the basic effort for a microcredit loan. And so we prototyped giving loans for water and sanitation. So 4 or 5 households will go together to pay for a loan, or a whole community will take out the loan for the well. And in America, we have something called a home improvement loan. And so what we're doing with Rotary is providing a home improvement loan so you can have a toilet attached to your home. And so that's a huge change. And instead of giving people fish to eat, we're giving them a loan to stock their ponds with fingerlings and teach them how to maintain that fish pond. Okay, so we give loans for farmers. We give loans to women-based businesses, and then other small businesses. And the women businesses really help to improve education and improve health, because they spend their money making sure their daughters can go to school. Because usually you will have one child that is funding for school fees. But if the women can pay for other children to go to school, they do that. So microcredit loans, what we've done is about $1 million of loans over the last 5 years is still working in Ghana. And so each grant has just made a difference. So that money from a grant 5 years ago, there's 2 rounds of loans every year. So that can be 10 years of loans. And the loan from 4 years ago could be lent out 8 times. You follow me? And so you can see the old way, we gave that money out one time and the money was gone. And so now we're able to leverage that money and have it keep working in the community. So we do a blend of charitable wells and toilets, and toilets that are paid by loan. And that's allowing us to have a greater reach with the same buck.
Awesome. Okay, are there any other questions?
What happened to the chief that tried to kill Walter?
Well, he is actually dead now. But I didn't do it. I actually met him, and I said, I forgive you for trying to kill me. But luckily, I've outlasted him. And now those kids in that school, some of the teachers came up to me and said, do you recognize me? I was a little kid in 2005. And so now the children in that school are teachers and pastors and businessmen and women and mothers and fathers. So it's rewarding to see what an education can do. So we built 2 schools with independent funds, and all the rest, the other 7 schools are funded with the Rotary Simple School Global Grant Program. But luckily, I'm still here.
Walter, how do the teachers get their education? And where do they obtain their education?
That's a good question, Jim. The government of Ghana has a certification program. So they go to university, and there's criteria for a teacher just like there is here. And they have to go through 4 years of education usually and get a teaching degree. And then the schools that we are building, the local county government funds their teaching salaries going forward. So they had to be certified, and part of the grant, we're doing some additional training before they join that school. And so it's a good partnership with the local county government and Rotary.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anything else?
Thank you, Walter, for a wonderful
Oh,
program.
yeah.
Enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And you have a great club, and you have great leaders, and you've always had great leaders. And so I'm so honored that Kim asked me to speak so I can tell you the rest of the story of what it means to really care and have a heart. And that's what this club has. And I don't need to tell you that, but people around the world have benefited. And so hopefully we can do some more work in the future together, I hope, and in all of you. So thank you so much.
Thank you again, Walter.
Walter, I think what you do is truly amazing. I mean, I didn't even know there was anything about that worm until I joined Rotary. And then after that, it was like, clean water is important. Clean water is. I mean, I got the Ann Matthews story in my head now about the drinking water and the sanitation and everything. So truly amazing, and I appreciate what you do.
Well, it's an inspirational team. And I think what's so special about it is the Ann Matthews and the Wesses of the world. They've touched our hearts, and they've inspired us to keep going. And so the friendships we build are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many inspirational people. So I've just kind of been along for the ride, and just thank all these people who have worked hard to make all this stuff happen.
Well,
So
keep those emails coming that you send. I read every time you send one. I read your emails about what's going on. So
well, thank you. Well, the thing we're trying to get done now, we're building those 3 schools, and we had the opportunity to get 10,000 new books from India. And we're almost raising $5,500 out of a grant to supplement the school books and stuff that we pay for in the grant. But we're about $1,000 short. So if Thomas could give any money towards those books, we are wanting to have the library be as full as possible. Well, have a great day, and it's so good to see you.
Okay, and Walter, I know Kim, put herself on mute and took a phone call, but if you will get that information to Kim, if we're able to give anything, if you'll just get that information to her so that she can pass it along to us at the next board meeting.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Well,
all right, thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
All right, to you too. All right,
Bye.
bye.